morning. Today we're going to discuss how to write a number using different forms. In math, we have a total of 10 digits. Let's have a review on those digits. When I think about digits for math, I think about a remote control. On a remote, you have the numbers 1, 2, 3, and you have the digits 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 0. Using these digits, you can create lots of different numbers. Every number that you know is created using these digits. In math, we talk about using different forms to express the numbers. So, for example, the number 237. This is the number 237. When I talk about the number 237, people write it just like this. If I say, hey, write down this number, this is the standard form of that number. Standard form looks just like this. The standard form of 38. The 3 and the 8, standard form. 42, standard form. If I was going to write the number 237 and I wanted to write it in expanded form, it would look like this. 200 plus 30 plus 7. This is what 237 looks like in expanded form. For expanded form, what I like to think about is I'm going to expand that number out, make it really, 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 really big. See how long that this is in comparison with the standard form of that number? This is long, like it's been expanded. Another example for expanded form, if I was told, show the expanded form of this number, 139. 139 would look like this. 100 plus 30 plus 9. That's the expanded form of 139. I'm separating out the hundreds, the tens, and the ones in that number. If there was a number that you were told to show the expanded form for, but there was a digit that had nothing represented, such as 305, I would just write the expanded form of this as 300 plus 5. I would not write 300 plus 0 plus 5. That wouldn't be how it was written for expanded form. The important thing to remember about expanded form is that we like to put them in order from greatest value to least value. So back to the number 237. I want to start with the hundreds because that has the greatest value. Then I want to add the tens. Last, I'll add the ones. That's how it's written when we're doing the expanded form. We want to start with the greatest and going into the least. The next type of form that I want to talk about is unit form. When I'm thinking about unit form, I'm going to go back to that same number of 237. I'm looking at the different units that are used to create this number. I've got 2 in the hundreds place, 3 in my tens place, and 7 in the ones. So for the unit form, I'm going to show it like this. 2 hundreds, 3 tens, and 7 ones. This is how you write it in unit form. I'm basically just breaking it down to say how many hundreds, how many tens, how many ones. I'm going to go back to that number of 305. For this number, because there are 0 in the tens place, I don't even talk about the tens. I don't care about the tens because there are no tens. So if I was writing the number 305 in unit form, I would just write 300s, 5 ones. 305, there are 0 in the tens, so I'm not going to talk about them. I'm not going to write 0 tens. It doesn't matter about those tens. Another form that I want to discuss is, word form. When you're saying a number in word form, we're going to go back to the number 237. If you were told, show this number in word form, essentially you're just going to write 237. How you would say it out loud is how you're going to write it for the word part of the word form. So 2, you have to write all of the numbers. 230. And then we're putting a little tiny dash there and writing the word 7. 237 in word form looks like this. Essentially what you need to remember is when it says word form, you're only using words. There are a lot of times where people are getting confused with word form and unit form. When you're talking about unit form, you're saying how many of those hundreds blocks would you need to use? How many units of those tens blocks would you need to use if you wanted to create the certain number? So unit form is essentially breaking this down and saying, I need 2 hundreds blocks. I need 3 tens. And I need 7 ones. This is what unit form would look like. It's just the thinking behind those little pieces that we would be using in order to represent that number. So unit form and word form are totally different. Word form, what you can think about is, that's how you would say the words out loud for the number. So for the number 305, and you're told, put this number in word form, you would just write 305. You would not write 305. If you wrote 305, you would be talking about this number. The decimal place is the word and. That's something that you'll learn later, but 305 is written 305. Oftentimes, we're also told to model. So if you were told put this in a model or show this in model form, to model a certain value, you might use those hundreds blocks that I just showed you a second ago to write 237. You could model it looking such as this. These are representing those big blocks. There would be a model that would be used for thousands, and I'm not like super awesome on making this, but this would be the representation for 1,000. In second grade, we don't use that, but that's something that you can know and just kind of file away in your brain. So model. You might also be asked to model using a place value chart. So I'm just writing out my hundreds, my tens, and my ones place. So if I was going to model 237, I would put 2 in the hundreds column, 3 in the tens column, and 7 in the ones column. So this would be the model of 237. And I just like filling in the numbers on here. It's a little bit easier for somebody to read. So 237, if I was told to make a model of it, this is what my model looks like in our classroom. There are other times where you might be asked to tell the value of. So I'm going to just write that as a question. Tell the value of, And then so it might give you a number. So I'm just going bouncing back to that number 237. It might say tell the value of the 3 and the number 237. This number 3 has a value of 30 in this number. It's worth 3 tens. The value of 3 tens is 30. If I was told tell the value of the 7 in this number, this 7 has a value of 7 ones because it's in the ones place. So tell the value of just means, hey, where's this number located, and do you know what the significance of that number is? So if I was telling the value of 832 and I said tell the value of the 8 in this number, I'm going to go and I'm going to underline that number. I'm going to think about it, and I know that the value of that 8 is 800. That's what the value of the 8 is. That's all we're going to be practicing today. So the couple of forms that we discussed: standard form, expanded form. We did unit form, word form. We talked about how to make a model, and then we discussed how to tell the value of a certain digit in the number.